Okay, let's discuss the solutions of JEE Advanced Paper 1 of 2016. I'm going to discuss set 6. Let's start off with the first section, in which you have 5 single option correct type of problems. In the first problem, it's related to probability. There are certain informations given. If you go through that, it is being told that probability that the computer producing factory produce 2 different types of T1 and T2. If I denote those types as T1 and T2, these probabilities are given that they produce first type as in this way, and the second one with probability 80 by 100. Further, it is being told that 7% computers are defective. Now clearly P of D is given to you as 7 by 100, and it's being told further that probability that computer turns out to be defective given that it is produced in plant T, if I take that particular probability as, it's not this probability, that should be D given T1 and D given T2. These probabilities are not given to you, but the ratio is given effectively. It's being told that if you consider this particular probability as say K, this one is 10 times that. And since these 2 events are exhaustive events, you can check then that this 7 by 100 is clearly going to be equal to solving which we get K as 1 by 40. One thing you can notice here, that once you know K, you know these probabilities. Now something is required which is related with Bayes' theorem, that the given computer is not a defective one. What is the probability that that particular object came from the plant T2? Clearly in this case we place the probability of this thing, that is of D bar, that the computer is not defective. In such a case, the denominator is then going to be out of the 2 terms which I have written here, this correspond to probability of D bar. We are actually interested in this second case. Clearly we have to place that expression in the numerator. Simplifying which we get 78 by 93 as the probability required, which is matching with the option C in that problem. In the next problem, it's related with combinatorics. Some information is given about 6 girls and 4 boys, that we need to select a group of 4 members, and then you have to define one of them as a captain, with one restriction that you should have at most 1 boy. Clearly then there are 2 acceptable cases, that you have 1 boy and 3 girls, and you have no boy, all 4 members are girls. For this particular case, I can write selecting 1 boy out of 4 as 4C1 and selecting 3 girls out of 6 girls as 6C3. Once I have taken care of the members of that group, I have to select any one of them as the captain. In this case, similarly 6C4 into 4C1, adding up is going to give you 380 as the final answer, which is matching with the option A in that problem. Next problem, that is the 39th one, and you have to figure out least possible value of alpha such that some inequality is correct for every positive x. For this case, if I start off with this assumption that, say, a function if you check this function I have got after rearranging the equation which was given in that problem, it is given to you that this fx is always more than equal to -1 for every positive x. So what I am doing is I am going to look for its minimum value. I'll make it equal to -1. That is certainly going to correspond to a value of alpha. Once I make f dash of x 0 for this function, clearly you can check that 12 alpha x square is equal to 1, and out of the two x's, the extremas, you can check one of them is at negative x. We have to ignore, since this is a cubic with all positive values of alpha given in the options. I can take this assumption that this is what is going to be the minimum value. All you need to do is that you have to make sure that this quantity is -1. This is going to correspond to the value of alpha as 1 by 27, which is matching with the option C in that problem. The next problem is related with trigonometry. You have two quadratic equations given whose roots can easily figure out from the first equation. You can check the roots are sec theta plus minus tan theta, and for the second quadratic those roots are minus tan plus minus sec theta. Now you have to identify which one is alpha 1, which one is beta 1, which one is alpha 2, which one is beta 2, because theta is given to you in a particular interval which is minus 30 degree to minus 15 degree. Clearly then you can check that the value of alpha 1 out of the first two root is going to be equal to sec minus tan, and the value of beta 2, which is the smaller root of the second quadratic, is clearly going to be negative tan negative sec. Since you have to figure out their sum, you can check their sum is free from sec. It is negative 2 tan theta, which is matching with the option C in that problem. Next problem is again related with trigonometry. It's related with trigonometrical equations, in which case if you observe there are 4 trigonometrical ratios given: sec, cosec, tan, cot. If you convert all of them into sine and cos, you can check you have this equation after cancelling of sin x into cos x, because that cannot be 0 in this case, the way the interval was given. Clearly we can write this equation as in this manner, which is equal to cos of 2x after taking 2 to the left hand side. General equation would give you the ultimate solution as assuming that all these solutions are in the interval of minus pi to pi. These are the values which you end up getting. And you have to figure out their net sum, which you can check is clearly 0, which is matching with the option C in that problem. The next problem is related with the next section, in which you have one or more than one option correct, along with a step marking, provided you have not included wrong options. In the first problem of this section, you can check that differential equation is given which can be rearranged as in this form. integrating which is clearly going to give you the final solution as y equal to, in other words, fx equal to this value. But no information was given in that problem to figure out the value of c. But one information is given, that f1 is not 1. By that you can clearly check, you can claim this, that c can be positive, can be negative, but cannot be 0. Based on this, now you have certain options. Let's start off with the option A, where you have to deal with f dash of 1 by x, where f dash of x you can check is this much. F dash of 1 by x then turns out to be 1 minus cx square, along with x approaching 0. This value has to approach 1. Clearly then that is a correct option. In option B, we have x times f of 1 by x, which is then simplifying to this expression. Clearly you can check then this is also going to approach towards 1 as x approaches 0. Clearly then that is correspond to a wrong option. It's given in the problem as 2. In the third case, we have x square into f dash of x along with x approaching 0. F dash of x is this, so you can check that quantity turns out to be this, where x approaches 0, so this is going to approach minus c, which is never going to be 0 according to the problem. Clearly then this option is also incorrect. It's given to you as 0. And in option D, it's being told that function is bounded and it's ranging from minus 2 to 2, which is clearly not correct. As you can check, if x approaches 0 plus, f is necessarily going to approach magnitude wise infinity depending on sign of c. So clearly that is an unbounded function, so D is also incorrect. We have only one option correct in this set then, as the option A. In the next problem, it's related with coordinate, and you have one parabola given and that parabola is being intersected by some circle. Radius of that circle is given to you as root 3. After solving this parabola and that circle, you can figure out the coordinate of P, which you can check clearly that is going to be root 2 comma 1. Just you have to consider that in the first quadrant. At this point you need to draw tangent to that circle. Clearly you can manage it as by t equal to 0 for that circle, which is root 2x plus y equal to 3. And this line is touching two different circles having center on y-axis. Suppose if I take center of that circle as 0 comma k, perpendicular distance of this point from this line is given to you as 2 root 3, which is going to give you two values of k, as those values of k are respectively 9 and minus 3. So the coordinates of the centers, that is q2 and q3, you can figure it out as 0 9 and 0 minus 3. From here itself you can check one of the option is correct, that is q2 q3 distance. And then you have to figure out the distance between R2 R3, where R2 R3 are the point of contact of this line with the circle. Suppose if I have situation like this, these two distances are known to you as R2 R3. Clearly you are then looking at length of this internal common tangent, which is related with a formula known as the distance between their center square minus the sum of the radii whole square, which is going to give you ultimate value as 4 root 6. And then in the third and fourth option you have to figure out areas. You can check in option C, formed by OR2 R3. The height of that triangle is nothing else but R2 R3, and the base length is R2 R3 and height is the radius of this particular circle, which is going to give you that particular area, the first area, as 6 root 2. The second area is related with P Q2 Q3. In this case you can check the base length is nothing else but Q2 Q3, which is 12, and the height of that case is nothing else but the abscissa of this point P, which is root 2. It's also going to make that area 6 root 2, but the option D is not given as 6 root 2, so that is not correct. Otherwise all three options are correct in this, so we have first three options correct. Next problem is related with differential equation, which is a quite tedious one, not because of the differential equation but because of the options which you are supposed to deal with. If you look at that differential equation, there you have x plus 2 whole square and then y times x plus 2 times dy by dx equal to y square. You can check this is in homogeneous form, provided we substitute y by x plus 2 as t. After substituting this and simplifying the matter, you can check, you will end up getting this as your ultimate solution. Here you can manage the concept of integration because it's given to you that 1, 3 lies on this curve, and you have to solve this particular problem for x greater than 0. Now let's deal with options one after another. Let's deal with A and B together because they are related to a similar thing. I am going to solve this with y equal to x plus 2, so clearly this is going to be 1 and this is going to be this much. This is x plus 2. You can check then from this the values of x's are either 1 or minus 5. We have to reject minus 5, so it's clear from this now that y equal to x plus 2 intersect this curve in exactly one point, that is at x equal to 1. So it's option A which is correct, not B. For C, if I were to substitute y as x plus 2 in this equation, you can check then this equation turns out to be this much. If you look at the left hand side, since x is positive, you can check its derivative is clearly positive, so this function is strictly increasing. For x greater than 0, I can claim then left hand side is always going to be more than the left hand side being evaluated at 0, which you can check turns out to be 2 plus ln 2, which is clearly greater than this number. Since left hand side is greater than this number, which is greater than the right hand side, hence then this equation cannot have any solution. In the last option, you have to solve this curve with y equal to x plus 3 square. If I were to put x plus 3 whole square there, this is a kind of equation which you are going to left with. Since it is given to you that x is positive, I can safely say that this expression is more than 1 and this quantity is a positive quantity. Clearly then this whole thing is never going to match with 1, so this equation has no solution. Based on this much information, you can check then the correct set of options for this problem are the first option and the last option. In the next problem, it's related to the property of triangles. There you are dealing with some relationship between semi-perimeter and side lengths. If I were to consider those ratios matching with a proportionality constant, say k, you can check then S turns out to be 9k from this only, as S is x plus y plus z by 2, and hence you can then figure out side lengths as a function of k. If S is 9k, I can then safely say that x is equal to 5k, y is then 6k, and z is 7k. Hence we know how those sides are in proportion, but in the problem it is further given to you that area of in circle is 8 pi by 3. Clearly then you know r square, which I can write it as delta square by s square, which I can certainly write it in this way. And once you know all these quantities, the side lengths in terms of a proportionality constant k, you can then manage delta square as s into s minus a, s minus b, s minus c, which is nothing else but this. Clearly then you can check from this equation k follows, and once you end up getting k as 1, you know all the parameters about that triangle. I guess then you can easily manage the other problems. Once you know k as 1, side lengths are known, area is known. Once area is known, circumradius I can safely claim it as xyz by 4 delta. So circumradius you can figure out. And the third option is related with in radius by circumradius. Since we know both of them, you can then manage that ratio also. And the last term is nothing else but cos square c by 2. Cos square of c by 2, here angle c I am taking it as z. Cos square c by 2 I can write it as 1 plus cos c by 2, and cos c you can figure out by cosine formula. So you can check then based on all these information, it's except the second option, all other options are correct. In the next problem, it's related to the circle, and we have some information given about a standard circle on which I can take the point S as 1, 0. RS is one of the diameter, clearly then R is also known as minus 1, 0. P be some variable point. The tangent drawn at this point P and this point S intersect in the point Q. If I take this point's eccentric angle as say theta, clearly then the equation of tangent would be this. And since this equation is x equal to 1, I can then say the coordinate of Q which is nothing else but tan of theta by 2. And then through this point Q, a line is being drawn parallel to RS, and that intersect this normal through P to that circle in some point E, and you have to figure out the locus of E. One thing you can notice that this line which passes through the center of that circle, you can directly write it as y equal to tan theta x. Hence coordinate of E, I can figure it out as say x comma y, and this x comma y must lie on y equal to tan theta by 2 and y equal to, or better say y by x as tan theta. Just we have to eliminate theta from this. You can check then this tan theta, I can write it as 2 times y by 1 minus y square. One of the solution is y equal to 0. None of the option is having y equal to 0, or the other option would be this, that 2x is 1 minus y square. This is another locus, and you can check on this particular locus, that is a parabola, options A and C are lying on it. Other two options are not satisfying this, so they are not the correct answers. Next problem is related to matrices. You have some matrix P given, and then it is given to you that PQ is K times I, where K is not 0. For the determinant value of Q is known, I can then say that determinant value of P is going to be equal to 2K. Clearly that is a non-invertible, hence I can safely say that Q is nothing else but K times P inverse, and P inverse I can write it as adjoint of P by determinant of P, and determinant of P, there is another way by which also you can figure it out, which is nothing else but 12 alpha plus 20, which should be equal to 2K. This is one of the relationship between alpha and K, and the other relation will end up getting it from this place, that since P is 2K, you can then safely say that Q is adjoint of P by 2. After this, it is being told that the Q23 element is minus K by 8. Once you figure out this 2/3 position of adjoint of P, you will get it as this much because of this by 2. This is another relationship between alpha and Q, solving which you can check alpha turns out to be -1 and K is 4, which is clearly satisfying option B but not option A. And as far as C, D options are concerned, you can check in option C. I can write that result as determinant of adjoint of Q, which is clearly this, and since determinant of P and Q are both known to you, you can check this quantity turns out to be 2 to the power 9. And in the other case also, if you simplify in a similar manner, that is also 2 to the power 9. It's given 13. So correct answers for this particular problem are B and C. Okay, next problem is related with composite functions, and function fx is given to you as this, and after that you have this information as well as this information. Based on this, you have certain options you have to check. Let me start off with option A. Here we are interested in g dash of 2. For g dash of 2, you can check if I differentiate this relation, I should end up getting g dash of fx as equal to 1 by f dash of x. Now we have to look for which value of x I should be choosing such that fx turns out to be 2. Clearly you can check if I put x equal to 0, fx turns out to be 2, so x is clearly 2. Hence then g dash of 2 is nothing else but f dash of 0, and f dash of 0 you can easily figure it out, which is 3. So this value is 1/3, but it is given to you as 1 by 15. Clearly this is not the correct answer. For option B, you have to deal with h dash of 1. If you are interested in h dash of 1, this is somewhat similar to the previous problem. You can check then, if I differentiate this relation, I should end up getting now we need to look for the value of x which is going to make this g of x 1. Let me make g of x as 1. Clearly then I can say this, that g of x is g inverse of 1. So that is same as f of 1, and f of 1 you can check is nothing else but 6. Clearly then the value of x turns out to be f of 6, which you can check is 236. So this is what is the value of x. We are actually interested in this ratio then. The way we have discussed g dash of 2, in a similar way you can figure out all these values. this complete ratio is going to match with 666, which is given to you as one of the correct answer. So B is correct. In case of option C, I guess that is straightforward. Just you have to make sure that this quantity should be 0. The way we have discussed this X, you can manage it. If you check, you will end up getting 16 as the correct answer. And for option D, this is again somewhat similar. We have to make sure h of g of 3 is 36 or not. The way we have dealt with earlier, you will find that this value is going to be 38, not 36. So this is again not a correct option. Correct answers for this problem are then B and C. Next problem is related with 3 dimension, which I am going to discuss it through vectors. Let me consider the 2-dimensional view of that setup. Since side length is given to you, you can check then all these coordinates are known. And since the fourth vertex S is exactly above the midpoint of this diagonal, so I can then claim that midpoint is 3 by 2, 3 by 2, 0. But then since S lies above it exactly 3 distance unit from this plane, so the coordinate of S is going to be this much. In the first option, we are supposed to figure out angle between OQ and OS. You can check OS vector is known, OQ vector is known. You can easily manage this. Once you figure out this dot product and relate it with cos theta, which is the angle between OQ and OS, you will find that cos theta is going to be 1 by root 3, clearly, which is going to make the option A incorrect. In case of option B, you are looking at the plane which contain this triangle OQ and S. S lies within this. Since this line is y equal to x, you can then safely say that plane is going to be simply perpendicular to it, whose equation is also going to be x equal to y. You should not have any z term in that. In case of option C, you have to figure out perpendicular length of P, whose coordinate is 3, 0, 0 from this. Clearly you can check that turns out to be 3 by root 2. So these two options are perfectly correct then. In case of option D, once you are looking at the perpendicular distance of origin from a line RS line, I can write it in this way. On this particular line, if I were to consider perpendicular distance of origin, you can check then this perpendicular distance, we can figure it out once we know the projection of this vector OS along RS. Once you know that projected length, this length is known to you as 3 unit. By Pythagoras theorem, this perpendicular distance, you can figure it out. Once you simplify that matter, you will find that this value root 15 by 2 is the correct choice for that perpendicular distance. So the correct set of options for this particular problem are going to be B, C, D. Let's move on to the next section, that is integer answer type of sections, which is, I guess, is the simplest part of this complete paper. In the first problem, you have some complex number given, and utilizing that complex number, which is, you can check clearly, it's omega, we have to make sure that p square is minus I. Once you simplify that p square and make it equal to minus I and equate corresponding terms, you should end up getting two different equations overall. One equation as this quantity equal to minus 1, and the other equation as you can check from the second equation, you can safely claim this, that R has to be odd. So for R we have only two choice out of the 3, that is 1 or 3. But if I take say R as 1, if R is 1, you can then check omega square plus omega to the power 4s, you have to make sure it's minus 1. This is possible if and only if s is 1. Then only then you'll have omega plus omega square. There is no other choice acceptable. And if R is 3, you can check then this particular term turns out to be 1. So there is no way by which you can make this whole sum minus 1. So we don't have any choice for R equal to 3. So overall pairs, if you consider, that is 1, which correspond to 1 comma 1. So it's going to make your final answer as 1 because you're looking at number of ordered pairs. Next problem is related with binomial. First 48 terms if you observe are in GP. There you can check the coefficient of x square is going to be nothing else but 50C2, 50C3, and in the next case it's going to be m square into 50C2. This is given to you as 3n plus 1 51C3 for some integral value of n and obviously integral value of m. Once you simplify this matter, you should end up getting this relation. A perfect square which is a multiple of 51 plus 1, and you are looking at least possible value of n. Just by observation you can check n equal to 5 is going to work, which is going to give you m as 16. So the least possible value of n is 5. And in the next problem of this section, you have some integral equation given and you have to figure out number of solution of this equation. Suppose if I were to take this left hand side as f of x, one thing is quite obvious, that f of 0 is 0 and f of 1, whatever that value is, that is going to be a positive quantity. Not only this, if I apply AMGM on this expression, you can claim this that this quantity is always going to be less than equal to 1 by 2, integrating it over any interval, and check this is going to be a positive quantity. Once you know the graph is starting from 0 and its derivative value for positive x ranging in 0 to 1, you can safely claim that this is a positive expression. If that function is strictly increasing, graph is going to be like this, and till 1 this is going to reach around half, and you have to draw this particular line which is starting from a lower point, but that goes till 1 at 1. Clearly then the two increasing graphs are going to intersect in one point, and in only one point, because derivative is 0 for only 1x, that is 0. So you cannot have more than one solution of fx equal to this. So number of solution is going to be equal to 1. Next problem is related to some determinant is given to you as 10, and you are looking at total number of distinct real solutions of that. If you look at that determinant from two columns, x and x square is common. Once you take it out, you have 1, 2, 3 as one column, 1, 4, 9 as another one, and then you have other column related to sum of two symmetrical terms. So if I split that into multiple determinants taking these elements common, from the second determinant again x cube is common, so you'll have this expression. And then you have 1, 8 and 27. You have to make sure that this sum is equal to 10, simplifying which the determinant value of this expression you can check is 2 and this one is 12. You are left with a quadratic, you can say. clearly is one of the root for x cube is 1 and the other one is minus 5 by 6, as product is minus 5 by 6, and both of these two equations are going to correspond to one real solution each. So the total number of real x which satisfy is going to be 2, which is the final answer for this problem. And the last problem of this paper is related to simple limit problem. If you go in for expansion, you could have easily managed that. This value is given to you as 1, you are interested in alpha and beta. If you look at the degree, the lowest power of x which is present in the numerator is x cube. Clearly then we have to get rid of linear power here, the linear quantity. That is straight away going to give you alpha as 1. Clearly then we can cancel this. And then the ultimate answer is going to be ratio of coefficient of x cube, which is beta in the numerator, and in the denominator we have 1 by 3 factorial. This value must be 1, so 6 beta is 1 and alpha is 1. The quantity which you are interested in is clearly going to be equal to 7, which is the final answer.